So Liz, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to test how strong your breathing muscles are. And we're going to be testing your inspiratory muscles.
Okay.
So the main inspiratory muscle is your diaphragm. Okay. So your diaphragm is at its strongest point when your lungs are completely empty. So what I'm going to get you to do is breathe out completely, sitting up nice and straight in front of the computer. And then we're going to do an aggressive, fast inspiratory maneuver. So it's going to be breathing all the way out, then breathing in through the Power Breathe K5 device as hard and as fast as you can for a full breath. Okay. I'm going to have a look at that, and we're going to get real-time feedback on the strength of your diaphragm, and I'm going to try and coach you through so that we get a really good baseline indication of how strong your diaphragm is.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
Perfect. So the first thing you need to do is just grab the device in your hand, make sure that you don't cover up that valve at the back, create a good seal around the mouthpiece. You can breathe out through the device. So breathe out all the way through the device, and then in as hard and as fast as you can for a full breath. Cool?
Yeah.
Perfect. So sitting up nice and straight. Breathing out completely. And in hard, fast, complete. Good. Okay. So on the back screen here, we can see how much pressure is generated over time. So what I want to see is a really steep increase in this pressure generation curve over a short amount of time. Okay? And that shows me that the main muscle that's being involved in that inspiratory maneuver is your diaphragm, because your biggest inspiratory muscle is your diaphragm. So if we get a big pressure generation over a small amount of time, we can say that's a true reflection of the strength of your inspiratory muscles or your diaphragm. So it needs to be really, really aggressive to start with. So something like this. So breathing all the way out. And really, really hard. Okay? So have another go.
In other words, you suck.
It was a good first effort. But we can do better.
Okay.
So all the way out. Squeeze all that air out. Nice and straight, then really hard and fast. Beautiful. Okay, so that's a lot better. You can see a really sharp increase in the pressure to a max before 0.2 of a second, which is very good. And then as your diaphragm's contracting, it's losing its force generating capacity, so we drop the pressure. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so your max is saying that your max inspiratory pressure, or the maximal force generating capacity of your diaphragm, is 88 centimeters of water pressure. So that's how much water your inspiratory muscles can displace. Just like a measure of kilos, like how much weight your diaphragm can lift, we measure it in centimeters of displaced water. Okay, so I'll get a couple of goes just to make sure it's a true reflection, and then we'll save this data and we'll compare it next week after you've done some training, and hopefully we'll see some increases. So when you're ready, another one. So all the way out, then really hard, fast, complete on the way in. Good, we're getting better. Okay, so that one's saying 96. So we've improved a little bit. You're getting to know how to do the maneuver. So we're learning a little bit, and we're obviously improving. So I want to get some consistent results. So have another go. If we get another one around that mark, that'll be okay to record as your baseline strength.
Well, that was
good.
Shocking.
It was shocking, but it was still good. So because your diaphragm does lose its force generating capacity as you breathe in, it's really only that first part of the maneuver that we're interested in. Okay, I say complete because I also want to sort of have a look at how that curve fades away. But really, all I'm looking at is this part here. Okay,
Yep.
So you are getting better every go. So one more go. Hopefully it's only one more go, and we'll get a nice consistent run. I think you're around about, you're hitting your max now. So all the way out. Perfect. Okay. So that's pretty good. So 106, and I can just have a little look here. See what this guy is. It's about 102, so we're not differing by more than 5 centimetres of water pressure. So I'm going to take these two as our baseline and call your baseline inspiratory muscle strength as 106 centimetres of water pressure. Okay? Like I said, I'm going to save this data and we're going to review it when you come back in a week. Okay? So now I've got a baseline indication of how strong your breathing muscles are. Now I can work out around about what resistance level you should be training at. So during our first week of training, we generally train you between 15 and 30% of that 1RM value, of about that 106. So nice and easy, around sort of 16 to 32 centimetres of water pressure. But that's quite a wide range. So what I want to do is I want to get a little bit more specific and get a more individualised training prescription for yourself for this week. So I'm going to get you to breathe against some resistance for 30 breaths, see how you cope to breathing against that resistance, and then we're going to set an exact value for you to go home and train on. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. So in this training session, we're going to do basically exactly what you were doing in the testing session. Okay, so we're going to breathe out nice and slowly. We're going to breathe in hard, fast, complete. But we're going to treat this like a 15 RM set. So we're going to go continuous back to back. So breathing out, then breathing in hard, fast, complete. And breathing out slowly, breathing in hard, fast, complete without any gaps. Does that make sense? Now, set up on this protocol, the computer will analyse the strength of your breathing muscles in the first 2 breaths again. So you won't feel any resistance for the first 2 breaths. And then on the 3rd, 4th and 5th breath, it will slowly add resistance. Okay? It will predict what training intensity to set up for you. Once we get past that 5th breath, I'm going to have a look at what training intensity it's set and make sure that it's within that 15 to 30% that we talked about before. I'm going to be monitoring how much air you can get into your lungs. Okay? If the resistance is set too high, what we'll see is a drop in those inhaled volumes or how much air you can get into your lungs because your diaphragm won't be able to overcome that resistance. So that's going to be my guide to setting your resistance. All you need to do is worry about getting through your 15 breaths, then we'll stop, have a quick little break. I'll talk about the data and then we'll go through and do the other 15. Okay? So just need to concentrate on breathing out slowly, okay, because we don't want to hyperventilate. So breathing out nice and slowly, then breathing in hard, fast, complete. Breathing out slowly, breathing in hard, fast, complete. I'll talk to you a little bit about breathing technique while we're doing this, okay? You just continue and I'll just talk over.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. We're ready to go. Remember, you won't feel any resistance for the first 2 breaths, then it'll slowly add resistance.
Okay, so just continuous.
Yep, 15 and then we'll stop and have a little break. And in hard, fast, complete. Good, so slowly on the way out. Slowly, 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 slowly. Get all that air out of your lungs. Then breathing in hard, fast, complete. You're going to feel a little bit of resistance on this one. That's it, good. So slowly on the way out. So these blue bars over here is how much air you're getting into your lungs. So what I want you to do is focus on working really hard to make sure that those bars hit that top level. Okay? Good. So slowly on the way out, slowly. You're going to be breathing on a bit more resistance here. I want you to work really, really hard to get those blue bars all the way up to the top. Good. Slowly on the way out. So I can see that resistance is set a little bit too hard. So I'm going to drop that back down to our high level of what we want you to train at. Hopefully those inhaled volumes will increase. Good. So slowly on the way out. Okay, so now what I want you to do is really focus on breathing with your belly and trying to relax your shoulders when you breathe in. So we're breathing with your belly, then we're opening up your chest. That was a really good one. See, we actually increased in how much air you got into your lungs. And that's what we want. We want to get a full breath. Beautiful. Good work. How do you feel? Good. If you feel like you're getting lightheaded or dizzy at all, what I want you to do is pause at the end of your exhalation, count to 3, and then continue. Just let that CO2 build back up. Perfect. You're doing really well. We've got 6 more breaths and then we're going to have a bit of a break. Okay. Really work on breathing in with your belly, then opening up your chest rather than shrugging your shoulders. Good. Slowly on the way out. Really good. So you can see how your inhaled volumes actually increase when you started breathing against resistance. That's quite typical because your diaphragm is made to work harder when it's breathing against resistance. So we can actually get more air into the lungs. So this is what we want to maintain. We want to maintain how much air you can get into your lungs while you're breathing against resistance.
Yeah.
It's quite hard work, isn't it?
It is.
What's the orange side of that power?
That's power.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can see it towards the end. You would.
Starting to fade.
Starting to fade. So the power is just a product of how fast you're getting the air in and the resistance that you're breathing against. Okay. What we really want to focus on is breathing against a evidence-based intensity. So at that above 30% when we're trying to strengthen your breathing muscles and maintaining that control over your diaphragm's whole contraction. So making sure that we're training the diaphragm over its whole contraction length rather than just a short, sharp, that first part. So what I'm going to be looking at now is to see if you can maintain those volumes all the way through to 30 breaths. If your inhaled volumes start to drop off a little bit, I might reduce that resistance a little bit because we don't typically want to see too much fatigue in this first week.
Yeah.
We just want you to get used to the training, okay? Get used to you using the device properly with good form.
Yeah.
So your form was pretty good to start with. You're not using your upper respiratory muscles that much,
Yeah.
but you are still using them.
Yeah.
So if we can try and transition you to using more of your diaphragm,
Yeah.
that's stronger inspiratory muscles, and less of your upper respiratory muscles,
Yeah.
you're going to be able to use them for your paddling and your swimming, okay? We don't want to fatigue them while you're breathing.
Yeah.
Okay? So to promote good diaphragmatic breathing, it's essentially belly breathing, okay? So you want your belly to come out first and then your chest to open up through your chest here, not through shrugging your shoulders, okay? So that's how I want you to train when you come in and do this and when you take one of these devices home and do it at home, okay? It will feel a little bit harder. It's definitely a lot easier to overcome that resistance when you're using all your accessory muscles, but that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to promote really good form, train that diaphragm so that it's strengthened and you can use that while you're doing your races. Cool? You ready to keep going?
Yep.
Let's do it. Okay. So when you're ready, once again, starting with the breath out, slowly out, and then in, hard, fast, complete. Breathing with your belly, then opening up your chest.
Oh, that was shocking.
It's all right. Have another go. If you're starting to fatigue a little bit, I might just lower that resistance down. Let's see how you go. Good. Get all that air out. Then in with the belly, then open with the chest. Good. Good. So start with the belly, then open with the chest. Try and work really hard in that end range to try and get those blue bars all the way up to the top. We're going to push through the next 10 breaths. That's it. Got your form back. Try and relax those shoulders towards the end there. Last one. Nice work. Okay. So we'll save all that data and we'll be able to have a look at how you go next time when you come in to see if there's any changes in how you went with your training. And hopefully we'll be able to get you to maintain those volumes at a high resistance. So that's the key. So at the start there we had you training on about 30, and then we saw in that middle part of the session you were struggling to overcome that initial pressure.
Yeah.
So I dropped the resistance and that brought all our inhaled volumes back up. Okay. So I think that's going to be a better resistance to start you on for this week.
Yep.
Okay, and then when we get you back, hopefully you're starting to get used to the training, you're feeling good about it, and we can progress you to over that 30% of your max and start getting some strength training into you. Okay, does that make sense?
Yep, sounds good.
Perfect. Okay, so to ensure that we've...
You can feel it working. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Did you feel lightheaded or dizzy at all during the session?
No.
Perfect. So it was quite good, your form. You were breathing out nice and slowly. If you do get a little bit giddy or lightheaded, it just means that you're breathing too much and you just need to really slow that exhalation phase down. Okay?
Yep.
So you should be breathing out really slowly and relaxed, and use that as a time to relax and drop your shoulders, and then work hard on the inspiration. Then relax and drop your shoulders and then work hard again. Okay?
Yep, sounds good.
Now, I'm going to set you up with one of the Power Breathe Plus medium resistance devices to ensure that we've got enough resistance levels there to really progress you through your training program. Okay? We will be working from this level, which is around about 25% or 20% of your 1RM max, all the way through to about 50% when we're really starting to work you and trying to get those strength improvements. Okay? So this device will be definitely, it will have enough load range to really progress you all the way through. Okay? Make sense?
Yeah.
This device you use exactly the same as you were using this. Okay? I'll set it up to start with, and you don't need to change it until you come back and see us next Friday. Yep. Now the devices are nice and easy to use and very easy to maintain. Essentially, all you need to do is wash it under warm water. After you finish with it, whack it on a drying rack. Okay? Once a week, so maybe just before you come in next Friday, you can pull it apart. So you just pop that cap off, pop that bit off, put it in a bowl with one of these tablets. Okay, so they're the cleansing tablets. They're like a baby bottle cleansing tablet. Okay, leave it there for half an hour, then get it out and rinse it out with a bit of water, pop it back on the drying rack, and you're away to go. I'll set the resistance up. This is how you change the resistance, but I won't get you to change that until you come back. Okay?
So the green one's different?
Yeah, the green one's a lighter resistance. It would definitely be appropriate for how you are now. It's just, I think that we can really improve the strength of your diaphragm. So I want to have enough left to be able to really push you. So that's why I'm going to give you the medium resistance to start with. Most people are okay with just the light resistance. It goes up to a level of, I think it's 98 centimetres of water pressure. So your max has to be very, very high to outgrow that. But like I said, a lot of our athletes, we get them to do like a real high intensity, like interval sessions. So if I really want to push you, I want to make sure that this device will be suitable for that. There is a little nose clip in here. You don't need to use the nose clip unless you're training on really high loads. So that's going to be, at least a few weeks away. Okay? If you feel like there's any leakage coming in through the nose, you can pop the nose clip on. Okay? A little instruction manual there if you want to have a little bit of a read over it. Once it's dry, you can pop it in the bag so that it doesn't get dusty. Okay? But make sure it's dry before you use it because you don't want any water going in when you're training on it. I'm just going to check the load calibration chart to make sure that we're setting the device up properly. So for the medium device here, it just says what level equates to the centimetres of water pressure that we're setting. So at level 0, it's at 23. We were training on 24, so I think we're going to keep it on that minimum level for you. So all the way down the bottom, and that should be the right resistance.
Yeah.
So that's going to give us 10 levels to really push you once you start getting going. Okay, make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so have a go.
Same sort of thing.
It's exactly the same. Yep, just it should feel like a similar resistance.
Yep.
It may feel like you can't get as much air into your lungs, but that's just the way that it delivers the resistance. Okay, so this is like an open shut valve, whereas this one tapered a little bit. So this will be, you'll be training at 23 centimeters water pressure through your whole contraction, rather than it starting off high and then dropping off a little bit, which is what you would have felt here. Okay. So have a go. Just make sure it's all right. All the way out.
Yep, so it's 57 Station Street.
Feel okay? Yep. Good.
Yep.
Perfecto mundo.
So with obviously the screen, you could see that you're keeping it at the same level and everything like that. There's nothing that you can do, just as best as you can.
Yep, so you want to try and maximise how much air you're getting into your lungs. You will do that, no worries, set at this resistance.
Yeah.
It's more about getting compliant with the training and just getting into the rhythm of using it and getting your diaphragm used to training against some resistance. Okay, that's all we're worried about this week. Then next week when you come in, you'll have to really focus on getting that full breath in, because we're going to increase the resistance and it's going to be harder to get that full breath.
Yeah.
Okay? I'll write out a little training program for you.